And I've been taking some hawthorn at night just to keep my heart calm. And can you see my hearty nutritional stuff right there? I got the probiotics and it's making my guts have a little bit of a die-off reaction, which they said I might have. I actually have had an itchy scalp and felt like things are crawling on me, like I might have lice, but hopefully I don't. And also, yeah, just guts kind of, ooh. And something unrelated, I'm noticing that all the stuff I have at home I haven't really missed, so don't really need that much in life except maybe tools to be creative. And actually, when I was buying a lot of stuff in my first experience in map consciousness, I really wanted to create with it, and I was creating little gadgets and things, and most of it was just kind of junk, but it was still creative. And I had quite the creation station going on in my room, and I kind of want to create a creation station for people like me who really can move towards channeling this creative energy in the way we are designed to, or design how we are to. I don't know how it works. We'll see. And when I watched that video from December the other day, I noticed that I spoke a lot more smooth and I was more calm and kind of expressive in a nice way. I don't know. It seemed different than now, and I totally forgot that I was different before, but I feel like it's possible that I was able to unfold something longer without making mistakes because I actually wrote it down. Or maybe I actually had an intention to express the complete extrapolation and unfold it without making a mistake, because I never would start again. I never start again. I just start the sentence again, not the whole thing. And so, yeah, I don't remember if I even said, but yeah, I used to write down the things, and I feel like writing things down and then looking at it later is more powerful than typing it in a computer, because I've been putting it in the computer more lately, and it's so like, and then when I look at it, it's just not connecting the same way as seeing my own writing and just reading it and something flowing and being able to say it more than just like these kind of dead words on a screen. And a lot of the insights I have are when I'm out and about, and I always have my phone, so it's easy, but we'll see. I hope it's not too distracting that I make a lot of mistakes. So seeing that I used to not make quite as many mistakes has gotten my brain wondering if it's possible to make less mistakes. But I feel like some of the mistakes I make are just because I'm creating new words and I'm really trying to unfold things that I've never seen and thought before. So it's not something that's well worked out in my brain, and when I'm saying things I see more and then I say it, but there's a mistake, and maybe that's one of the reasons why we're more comfortable just saying the same old things, because they're kind of practiced in the brain and we won't make a mistake when we're saying it or sound stupid. But I make a lot of mistakes and just sort of edit them out. So we'll see if that changes, because it's actually easier to edit videos where I'm not constantly making mistakes. It's more tedious when I do. So yeah. And another tidbit, somebody told me they saw a black widow spider, and it was somewhere that I go sometimes, and right there, and that kind of, it didn't scare me, but it made me feel like, wow, they are right there somewhere. I definitely wouldn't want a black widow spider to sit down beside me. And today it was really hot, and after lunch I felt so tired, and I took a 2-hour nap, and I rarely nap. So it felt so good, and when I woke up I felt calm and relaxed, and I was laying there just enjoying my heart beating and sort of enjoying my body, so I felt more embodied. And that could be part of this creativity, is an embodied creativity, not just this sort of creativity in the mind. And even though I do talk to myself a lot on video, I also am out in nature a lot, and that's why I've added a few snippets in here or there. But that doesn't really justify my relationship with nature. Today, again, a hummingbird flew up to me right in front of me and like hovered there and flew there for a while, and even longer than the last one. And that was just a few days after that first hummingbird really just came right up to me, and I walked a different way, like the most inefficient way between the locations I was going, and I don't know why I went that way. And when I did, the hummingbird showed up, and to me, that's beauty showing up, and love showing up. Love arising in the moment in one's relationship with nature, and not having this efficiency machinery of the mind running, and leaving space for this accidental magic, and then just being in delight of that. So, yeah. So I will share a little bit of these rap lyrics, and maybe it's a poem. I don't know what it is. It just feels more like rap about not being a defective person, but being an effective creator, and moving from being misinterpreted as defective to being effective in a different way, maybe not valued by society, but the value could be partly in society may see the value. And I use the word society. I don't even know what that means. Like, where is society? Society is in what we all bring. And so just bringing a different society out of oneself for some kind of creative or dia improvilog interaction. So yeah, here we go. I was trapped and you think I'm mentally ill. I wouldn't hurt a fly and you think I would kill. Let's see if I can do this. I got rap and I got rhythm and I'm tapping out the system. I know I might have pissed them, not even gonna miss them. Telling me what to do, telling me to take this so I can go poo, taking my shoes, taking my groove. I was born a creator, misinterpreted by some haters. Who can't sense something greater? Take pill that they made her. I misspoke, spoke to deaf ears. On 100 pills I choke, and it cost me years. I'm not speaking 'cause I'm tweaking, I'm just saying what I'm seeing. You don't comprehend this being, so you watch me while I'm peeing. I speak as I see. Why won't you just let me be? Unfolding the language of infinity. Instead of barfing up the ego me, we speak as if we would chew old food. This language sounds so rude, so crude. Locked in inner solitude, what's the right attitude? Is it gratitude? Is it platitude? Should I be grateful for this world so hateful? People consume until they're so full. Why aren't we soulful? We're so full of ourselves, so much crap on our shelves. Keep on pulling at ourselves, drag our body through hell. This perpetuates the life that we hate, and hate reverberates to make the world full of rape. When we could be great, we could create. So that's silly, and I have another one. We rap about pleasures and desires, and not this inner fire. I don't want to fight the world, speaking up to light the world. Oops, I misspoke. And now they check piss to see if I took a toke. Nope. Watch out for that rope. You might Many patents up sleeves and lined pockets. So the 1% of the one, but you don't care. You don't listen. Missing the glisten in our eyes. You can't see through the lies that the 50 G's buy. Why we talking about mental illness? I see dancing in mental stillness. Please, please, please don't give me that pill, miss. Why do you kill this? When you poison me, it poisons you. Why'd you call the poison blue? My hand's outstretched for you, locked up in metal glue. You don't have a clue what you do. What you do to me is done to you. Can't you see that I am you? We are one and that is true. You don't want to hear this, you won't go near this. Look in the mirror, miss. You see tears but don't kiss. You won't listen, you're after what glistens. You don't have time to listen to these rhymes. There is no time. All time is now. You count your dimes. You don't even wonder how. People stand stunned, pissing their pants, yet you stand with folded arms and a firm stance. We need to meet a loving glance, but you say take these pills and this is your last chance. You won't tell me again, you yell at me again, and your eyes again tell me that we're not friends. Is this where it ends? So, yeah, I don't know about that stuff. It's kind of like psych ward rap or something, I don't know. So I wouldn't say it's rap, and I wouldn't say I'm rapping. It could be just crap, and that's totally fine. So I'm not sure if I'm really going to go there, or if I can say, okay, universe, that's enough of the angry psych ward rap. And if you want to rap, brain, channel some other channels, channel some other station. I'd like some other creation. I don't like these machinations. Just let's talk about one nation. Let's use our imagination. Let's, I don't know, something more positive. Something about butterflies and hummingbirds. What does hummingbird rhyme with? Turd? No. Well, it does, but that's not really a good one to do. Maybe hummingbird. I don't know. So anyways, that's just what I created the other day, and I don't know if I want to go there. I noticed my brain definitely got moving in that track, and maybe not so much in the world, because yeah, but it brought this creation into the world. It's just, I don't know if that's what I want to create. So I guess I'm just sharing to point out that I could go on and on like that, and maybe create a poetry line or a rap line for every line that I've said to myself in self-dialogue. I could start rapping about epigesturetics and epimemetics and all these weird terms that I've created for myself. Or, I don't know, maybe there's a way to create something like this, but in observation of some of the things I've talked to myself about and created context, and observing that in life in a beautiful way somehow, like building a relationship with nature, and then the hummingbirds and the bunnies and the lizards not being as afraid of me and coming up to meet me and things, and these interesting magical phenomena that can happen when one is in alignment with this life affirming, life creating, channeling. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know anything, and that's why I could know anything. Because if I think I know something, I'm only going to know that something that I think I know. And I don't know very much at all. I learn a lot every day. And I participate in my own learning and unfolding, and moving into self-creation, and actually being able to decide, is this the self I want to create? Not just ruminating about the self that I think I am. So it's a bit of a different thing, and there's some more responsibility there in responding to creating one's life instead of responding to one's psychological structures. And maybe those psychological structures become less important as we're more embodied as our creative self, as the artist of ourself. So I'm wondering if the universe will show me something that I can create for this festival that is appropriate and powerful, because that's the other thing, that sometimes what we create isn't necessarily appropriate for a given situation. So I might create these little silly rap-ish type lyrics and think that I should tell them to everybody on the street. Or I can just share them with myself on video, or I can just read them to myself and giggle to myself, or I can just read it once and delete it, or I could tell my close friend, or send it to someone that I know does rap, or I don't know, or just post it on some kind of social media. There's so many things that could be done. So waiting for some kind of invitation to share, and that's something I've learned a little bit recently, is waiting for that invitation. So being invited to share, which isn't necessarily somebody coming up to me and saying, hey, you know those humanic type rap lyrics you made? I want to hear them, because they don't necessarily know that. But are there signs that one is invited to share one's creation, or a certain thing one created with a certain person or a certain thing? So I wouldn't read this at this festival. But if I think, wow, this is the greatest creation I've ever created, and it's the only thing I've ever created, and since I created something great, I'm just going to hang on to it and just try and put it everywhere, then I'm not making room for that next thing. Because really, this is an unlimited process. And we're unlimited beings, but we have limited bodies, and we experience other limited bodies, and we have to have a sense of who to share what with, right? Because if we share everything with everyone, we'll probably get thrown back in the psych ward, because people are like, wow. So it's good to keep some to oneself, and really this creative process is just for oneself. If no one else ever sees it or acknowledges it, it doesn't really matter. That may happen, but it may not, and that's not the point. The point is just to keep creating, and not create one thing and then latch onto it or think we created something that we didn't. Thinking we created something that we didn't might just be a sign that we have the potential to create something of a similar magnitude and impact. We're just not really creating because we've decided that we created something else. And even if we still think we created that thing, we can still keep on creating. Even if I think, oh, I'm going to write something for Lauryn Hill, doesn't mean I only have to do that and then send it. That might happen at some point, that something comes through me. I'm like, hey, I could send this to her, and that'd be kind of funny. And it'd be sort of an acknowledgement of the original prophecy or premonition. And we never really go about the work that it takes to make those premonitions possible, because we're always told that it's just a delusion or something, and maybe it is, but we never move towards seeing if it is or isn't. And that's part of getting it embodied in the nervous system, so one might actually be able to channel. So in that blueprint state, we might be sensing, I could create this, I could create this, I could create this, but the actual creation can't move through us because we're not moving through life as creators, we're moving through life as creatures. And I don't know if all this is true, I'm just making it up right now. And that could be part of the creative process, is talking about the creative process. I don't know. And it could be true too that some people just want to create one masterpiece and share it, and use the rest of one's creative energies to create ways to share that one masterpiece. So I've used energy to find a way to share what I want to create, and I haven't really shared it yet, but some of the energy goes into that. Because if I just made videos and didn't edit them, or didn't upload them or didn't organize them or didn't whatever, then it can't necessarily be shared. So the creation is this download from like a non-linear, non-logical realm, but there needs to be some kind of linearity and logic in order to share it. So perhaps some of the linearity and logic that we lose in terms of the functionality of society, the brain might actually be more interested in this linear and logical world if it's in service of that creation that we're trying to make. So if I try to get a linear logical job, my brain might be like, ah! But if I'm doing linear things like uploading videos and sending emails and kind of these things that are in the space-time of the fabric of reality in which we're able to communicate, the brain might be okay with that, and that might actually be a way to be more grounded in the reality that we share if the way we are linear is in a way that is also in service of what we're creating. And I share that partly because a lot of times people are encouraged to recover back into some kind of job, and that's part of the linear logical world, knowing what time it is, going to work, and all of this sounds pretty simple in theory, but the brain could potentially be more resistant to that kind of linearity that isn't in service of the way the brain was changing and what the brain was changing in order to create. And I don't know if this is true, but for example, working in peer support, eventually I'd have really a lot of trouble sending emails and things. It's just like, ugh. But when it's in a different context of what one is trying to create, it might be in alignment with the nervous system. So all of that might not be as difficult as sometimes we feel it is. Like waking up to do linear things that's part of our creation might be easier than waking up to do some meaningless job. So part of creation is that it's meaningful, and that field of meaning will help us to be grounded in this linear, time-bound, space-bound world that we are in. But sometimes we can be more in that other domain because we're not bringing that other domain's creation into the linear realm. It's about bringing it into the linear realm. So if we're doing something to bring it in, then perhaps we can be linear as well as non-linear and quantum and non-local and access that domain, which is where the creativity comes from. So I think it's about channeling that and channeling it into something that everyone can see, or figuring that part out too, not just creating things that people can't connect with. It's okay to create that too, but wondering about that, because when it's so infinite, we have a tendency to just want to share all the infinity with everyone, and it takes a bit of maneuvering to understand that. Perhaps. I don't know. We'll see. And I also wonder, with this next part of the exploration, if it can be shown that this kind of consciousness can be fun. It can be a really fun way to be and invite people into just having fun with themselves and with what they're able to create. And if more people are doing this, then it might not seem so strange when people are so happy just having fun in their own energy and in what they're able to go live as. See willing possibilities.